Am I unwell? $40,000 for one day? I'm either sick in the head or hear me out, I'm sharpening my sword in ways that other people won't. 9 risky moves that have been creating wild momentum for me behind the scene, and some of the things I've been doing in secret for explosive growth in 2025. Knowing, inquire, buy. That is how premium buyers move. Sometimes I think it's worth investing in things that make you feel more legit, even if that's like the only reason that you're doing it. What you believe about yourself has the power to literally change every fucking aspect of your life. Point blank, period, stop. That is fact. And so while other people are waiting to be invited, you're gonna be the one that's busy building the damn table yourself. And then you'll find eventually people are begging for a seat. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes, what I've been up to this year, 9 risky moves that have been creating wild momentum for me behind the scene, and some of the things I've been doing in secret for explosive growth in 2025. To me, 2025 is so momentum coded. And I know that especially if you are in the digital entrepreneur space, if you are an online coach, practitioner of some kind, you're trying to build a brand online, you're a creator, you have some sort of service and you're growing your entrepreneurial business by building a personal brand online. I know when you're looking around, it can kind of feel like, wow, there's a lot of like industry changes. There's maybe like a lull. There's this conversation about people are buying less or it's harder to sell. You might see other people's businesses really slowing down or they're losing steam. There's been a lot of people in the coaching space specifically that have kind of left, disappeared. Maybe they were, really popping off or big in 2020, 2021, and you haven't heard from them or seen them in a while. And so there's kind of this like weird energy happening. But what I want to take this episode and dedicate it to is talking about how to fuck all of that and still create momentum, still create explosive growth. So I thought I would just go behind the scenes and tell you exactly what I've been doing in my own personal life and business to create this feeling of momentum and help me continue to grow, even if there are industry changes, even if it does feel like there's a quote unquote lull or other things are happening for other people, and really just like staying in my own lane and staying focused on my growth so that I can speed up no matter what everyone else is doing or what's going on around me. So that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. If you find this interesting, if you want to know the behind the scenes, the secret kind of moves I've been making this year to maintain a lot of momentum and still keep growing in my business, then stick around. So when I say momentum, here's what I mean more specifically. I think we can start with like a little bit of context just to show you what's been happening that to me feels like, okay, there's momentum, there's movement, like things are working, things are happening. So just last week, over 200 people bought a brand new low ticket offer just in the first week of me talking about it and promoting it. It was called Sold Out Stories. You may have it. If you don't yet, I highly suggest you get it because it's been an amazing offer. So many people are loving it. I think it's been probably the thing that I've put out that has gotten people the most instant kind of results. And so I've gotten so many DMs over the past couple of weeks of people really diving into Sold Out Stories, saying just how much they love it and how much they've gotten out of it and how much it's been helping increasing their views, their engagement. They're making sales from their stories, like so much. So I'm over the moon about that. So excited. But that was really fun because in the first week of promoting it, there was a really big response. Over 200 people bought it. Then I did this thing where I posted one story slide about a secret offer that I was going to be doing. No real details about what was going to be included or anything. And immediately dozens of people were DMing me for the details. People were applying. I was like, okay, like that's a sign that there's momentum. That's a sign that there's a hot audience, that things are working, that stuff is moving, right? Another thing that happened that was a signal to me of this idea of like momentum and movement in the business is I watched a brand new customer, someone who had never bought from me before, purchase a $197 mini offer, and then in less than a week go straight into my $20,000 mastermind. And so I knew right then and there, okay, first of all, the mini offer is working because it's getting people results and it's showing them how I teach my style, and they're liking it and they're getting results. And so then they're automatically becoming curious about what is the next thing that they could do. And it's always fun to just kind of see the client journey in that way, but also to watch someone jump from a less than $200 offer to a $20,000 offer in less than a week. Also, someone who I don't have a relationship with, we've never talked in the DMs, she's never bought from me before. I'm like, wow, okay, the work is working. So this is what I mean, like in a tangible sense, when I'm talking about creating wild momentum and continuing to lean into this explosive growth, even if there are things that, yes, are changing in the industry that are making it maybe a little bit more challenging, that we just ultimately have to adapt to as marketers and business owners. So let's talk about what is working. I'm going to share with you what I've done to really light a fire under my business in 2025. So I'm going to go back a little bit to kind of give you the full context of these 9 sort of moves that I've made over the last 6-ish months, a little bit more, because it kind of started at the end of last year to really create this. So at the end of last year, I decided to pretty impulsively also invest $35,000 into a business mastermind that I had just heard about for the first time. So this was like, I didn't follow this mentor previously. I just came across her and I knew she was my vibe. I sent her a DM and I just said, what's your highest level space? Because I didn't see her necessarily advertising a mastermind or a high level space, but I really liked her vibe and I really wanted to learn from her. So I just shot her a DM. I sent her a voice message and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a high level space. I really want to get into a mastermind again. Let me know what you have. And that's a life hack in general. Like, know what you want and ask for it. It always blows my mind when people just kind of like are waiting for things to fall into their lap, when I'm like, well, why don't you just ask? Like, if there's someone that you want to work with and you don't see an option of something that they're selling, but you know that you want to work with them in some other capacity, know what you want and ask for it. Like, send them a message, talk to them, because people are all the time creating bespoke offers. They're adapting things for clients that really want to work with them. They're making custom packages. So life hack, know what you want and ask for it, because you might just get it. That person might be like, oh yeah, actually I have this thing, or sometimes I do this, or sometimes I sell this behind the scenes, or maybe it's not even behind the scenes, but you just missed it. And they're like, oh yeah, I have this like space or this membership or this thing. And you're like, oh damn, well, I'm glad that I asked and I didn't just wait for a piece of content to appear in front of me, because it's really hard, I think, on social media now with the way the algorithms work. You're not always going to see every offer that someone has. And so if you have a specific question or a skill that you want to learn, or a style of like space or group or mastermind that you want to be in, and you don't see them talking about it or promoting it, but you're like, damn, I wish that they had one because I really want to work with this person, ask them. Send them a message, send them a voice note, get in their DMs. Like, that is how you get what you want out of life. So I'm so glad that I sent her that message and I asked, because she did. She had a high-level mastermind. She hadn't launched it yet, which is why she wasn't talking about it, but she told me that it was coming in the next couple of months. So she kind of sent me the like behind the scenes, half-done sales page, and we chatted about it. We talked back and forth over voice notes. And I was like, cool, I'm in, let's do it. And I wanted to sign up early. So I called the bank to have them increase my daily spend limit. I paid in full, sent the $35K. The mastermind didn't start for another 3 months, like I said, because she was still in the works of bringing it to life, and it wasn't going to happen until 2025. And this was still at the end of 2024. But I was all in. I was ready to go. Because that is also like the energy that just lights a fire inside of me, at least, to like get to fucking work. And I really do froth on that, of like knowing like I'm setting myself up for success. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. I've paid in full. Like, I'm committed. There's no other option. Like, let's fucking do this. That is something that consistently helps accelerate me, because once I'm committed, financially and like physically, then I'm like, all right, now I have to be that girl. Now I have to show the fuck up. Now I have to make these changes. And so it really makes you move in a way that is naturally going to then create momentum in your business and your results. And also, like, this is how premium buyers move. They have a gut knowing about something. They want something. They know what they want. They inquire, they ask for it, and then they buy. That's it. Knowing, inquire, buy. That is how premium buyers move. And when your messaging and your positioning are designed to really create that sense of instant demand, you will also have premium buyers in your audience moving like this too. But one of the really cool manifestation hacks that we talk about all the time is like become the things that you want to attract, right? People always say when it comes to partnerships, relationships, it's like, oh, if you want to manifest your dream man and you have this long laundry list of requirements and characteristics and things that you want him to have, take that list, go out in the world and become that. Like be the thing that you want to attract. And so it also excites me knowing that I'm moving as a premium buyer because it sets me up to be a magnet for more of those people in my own audience. I know what I want. I ask for it. I buy, I pay in full. Like I'm all in. I'm ready to go. And so naturally that is the energetic frequency that I'm operating at. That's what I'm putting out into my field. That's what my aura is giving off. And so I'm naturally then going to be attracting more people like that, which is fun because that's what we all want. We all want premium buyers in our audience. We all want people that are just hitting us up and saying, hey, this is what I want. Do you have something I'm ready to buy? And then they pay and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This was so easy. There's such a vibe. Like that is what we all want. So also another manifestation kind of hack is like, be that. Know what you want, ask for it, and then go all in. And don't be the person that's like in and out and half and okay, well, maybe later and blah, blah, blah. Like, don't be that type of buyer if you don't want to attract those types of buyers. And so that was kind of the start. That was one of the catalysts to this year of momentum. But I want to share with you the other 9 kind of risky moves, I guess you could say, that helped create this unreasonable level of momentum in my business in 2025. The first one is that pretty early on in the year, I flew to Vegas to meet with Alex Hormozi and his team at Acquisition headquarters. So when I went there, I got so much strategy. It was like all numbers and scaling, and my brain really kind of hurt when I was leaving that. But of course, Alex upsold me another $40K for a one-day event. And it's coming up. I'm actually leaving in like a week as I'm recording this. And I'm like, am I okay? Like, am I unwell? $40,000 for one day. I'm either sick in the head or hear me out, I'm sharpening my sword in ways that other people won't. I'm doing the things that other people don't do. And therefore, that's going to be, part of the recipe that's going to help me get results that other people don't get. And so I will be heading back to Vegas again very soon in just a couple of days for some one-on-one strategy this time around. I've had a couple of calls with their team before I go out there again, 2 little meetings that I've had just to kind of prep and meet with the business strategist who I'm going to be working with one-on-one once I get there so that we can kind of talk about, my product suite, my gaps, what I'm working on, strategy, and get like a lay of the land before I actually get there so that we can really go in for the one-day event once I arrive. If you are curious about my last trip to Vegas, I did a whole podcast episode about it. It's called like $100 million advice from Alex Hormozi, the full Vegas recap. So if you missed that episode and you want the tea on what that was like, I kind of spilled my main takeaways, some of the nuggets and things that I learned. I read off of like my notes that I took directly from that workshop. And I also talked about how everything worked and just the whole kind of experience of going out there and seeing acquisition.com headquarters and their team and lots of different things. So if you're interested in that and you missed that episode, you can find it just by searching 100 million advice, like 100 with capital M. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you're listening. So the second thing, which is kind of random, but I got engaged very shortly after the Vegas trip. I got engaged when we were in Costa Rica. Again, told that whole crazy fucking story on the podcast. As you guys know, we got robbed and engaged in the same day. It was a big eventful thing. So if you missed that one, that's another episode you can go back and listen to because it's kind of fun, just like storytelling of that whole wild trip, getting stranded in Costa Rica, crying on the steps of the embassy. We got robbed. Jaime lost his green card. Lots of drama, a very eventful engagement trip, I will say that. But the reason why I've included it here as like things that have created momentum in my business this year is because after we got engaged, we pretty quickly were like, wait, we kind of need to plan this wedding because we don't want to wait until 2027 to get married. So if we want to get married in 2026 and we want to get married in Spain in summertime, like, oh, that means like we basically need to book a venue. Things are like booking out. So we just kind of, I didn't know that that was going to happen, but we just realized based on like the dates and the timelines of like, I guess we need to start doing this now. And so immediately dove into planning this international wedding and basically had everything organized and deposits paid and booked within literally 2 months. I'm not kidding you. So that took up a big chunk of the kind of early months of this year, which I was not expecting. But here's why it's relevant, because when life gives you this sort of like raw material, this unexpected twists and turns, I think a skill that you can develop as a human, but especially as an entrepreneur, is like to make art with those things. When life gives you the raw materials, make art with it. Lean in harder, make time even when it feels like there is none, because that's quite literally how this felt. I had so many projects and things going on in the business. I was like, how am I supposed to plan this entire international wedding also on top of all of this stuff? But you find the time. When something ends up being important for you, you find the time, and it stretches you and it stretches your capacity. And then you become a new version of yourself that you didn't know that you could hold all of this. And it really kind of wows you. And you're like, damn, like I'm really doing this. Like it is a lot, but also I'm glad that this challenge presented itself because it's making me see myself in new ways and also understand that I have even more capacity than I thought that I did. And it's also a way to let the personal wins in your life kind of fuel more business wins, right? This was something that was stretching me in my personal life, obviously planning an international wedding and coordinating all of those things and looking for all of our vendors and doing all of that from another continent in another language. But it was molding me into someone that could take bigger risks, that could stretch her capacity, that, saw myself in a new way and kind of motivated me in a business sense at the same time. I also think it's just kind of like when these things are happening, it challenges you to stay in the vibe and just paint everything else that you're doing at the time with that like contagious, infectious energy. Because when good things are happening, but they're still overwhelming, you can kind of want to go into stress mode or like shut down of like, okay, well, this is getting really stressful to try to plan this wedding on top of all this other stuff. Or you could be like, let me stay in the vibe of joy and excitement and fun and expansion. And instead of making it mean that I need to be stressed in my business life and in my personal life, can I make it mean that this joy and excitement and expansion gets to ripple out into the other areas of my life? Can I be joyful and excited and expanded in business while I'm being joyful and excited and expanded in my personal life? So kind of like taking, again, if life is giving you the raw material, it's giving you the paint, like take the brush and make like those broad brush strokes across everything that you're doing. Life gave me joy. Life gave me something to be really excited about, right? I have a beautiful ring on my finger. I'm in an amazing partnership with someone who I've loved for over a decade. We finally get to get married. It's going to be in Spain. The venue is beautiful. I'm so excited to bring people together from different cultures, backgrounds, languages, from my life, from his life. Like, what a joyous, amazing thing that we get to do. Can I paint my life with that brushstroke instead of turning it into a stressful thing and being bothered by all the things that are happening in the business or all the other places where I'm needed and where my attention is being pulled? Because that would be really, really easy to do. And I'm not saying like I'm perfect at never getting stressed. Of course, like it's overwhelming running a business, planning an international wedding, making new programs, traveling to do a podcast tour, like all these things that were happening all at once. Of course, it was stressful, but that is the mindset that I want to come back to. That's what I want to be my anchor. So can I get pulled into stress and overwhelm sometimes? Of course, I'm fucking human. But when I choose what I want my anchor to be, what I want my perspective to be, I can go back to that and remember, hey, this is actually such a blessing. This is so amazing. This is a moment that's full of joy and excitement and expansion. Remember that. Paint with that brush in every other area of your life right now, because this is something amazing. The third thing that I did behind the scenes this year was I hired a podcast consultant and a pitching manager. And the reason that I did this is because even if you know what you're doing, it doesn't mean that what you're doing is necessarily optimized. And this was an area that I really wanted to get some support in and delegate, because the podcast moves at such a pace that it's really hard to zoom out and see the forest for the trees sometimes, because the turnaround is so quick. Every week there's a new episode. We need to be booking guests, recording, editing, making trailers, pushing out videos. It's on YouTube. It's on all these platforms. I mean, the podcast is like such a beast right now that when you have that tight turnaround of having to push new fresh content out every single week, and all the, the bookings and the coordinations and the recordings and the editing and post-production and all the stuff that's happening behind the scenes in just a 6-day time frame in order to get that out, it can be really hard to like zoom out and evaluate, okay, what are we doing with the podcast that's working? What do we want to improve on? Let's look at the analytics. What are people liking? What should we do more of? Can we come up with some new, fresh ideas for solo episodes? And then also the pitching aspect, right? Of like wanting to be featured on other shows so that we can get some additional visibility on this show, and also, of course, on my work, but mainly from the perspective of like the podcast grows when other people find out about it. And a great way for other people to find out about your podcast is for you to be a guest on other shows. But it takes a lot of time and intention, and it is just a really time-consuming task to be pitching yourself to be featured. So I knew that I wanted to bring in an expert and someone who could help not only with the consulting of the podcast so that we could do that kind of zoom out and evaluation of what we're doing right, what we could be doing better, and some of the adjustments and tweaks that we want to make, but also for the pitching aspect of getting me featured on other shows, but also bringing really cool people to make shift happen. And so we've been lucky enough to have some incredible, incredible guests this year, and also last year. Like, the guest roster has really been honestly slaying for Makeshift Happen. So if you're someone who doesn't always listen to guest episodes, I don't know, like I love the people that we've had featured on this show recently. They've been so cool and shared so much amazing wisdom. But also it's going to be a goal moving forward, as I'm doing right now, to record some more solo episodes, because with the podcast consultant, we looked at that and it's very clear from the analytics that you guys really love solo episodes. So if you agree with that and you're happy about this, I'd love to hear from you, because that is our educated guess based on the numbers that we can see. But if you also are like, yes, I definitely prefer or love solo episodes, let me know. Hit me up. Send me a DM on Instagram, because I truly would love to see some real data from real humans who listen to this show. That's our hypothesis right now based on some numbers. And that is one of our goals, is to do some more solo episodes for you guys. So I'm excited about that. So that was one of the things that was really helpful. And also the entire Austin podcast tour, that all took place because of the podcast consultant and pitching manager that we brought in. And so that was another really cool thing, which I'll talk about in a second, because that was another thing that happened. But overall, was really happy with that. And I feel like it was really good for us for the part of our business that is the podcast. Okay, the fourth thing that I did behind the scenes was I took an intensive course for content creators. Now, the timing of this was literally the most inconvenient thing ever. I was away in Peru for the whole first week of the course, and we had 6 to 8 calls every week for like 4 or 5 weeks. So it was great. There was a lot of meetings, a lot of calls, a lot of content, a lot to go through, a lot of learning. It was very overwhelming. It was definitely a course experience where you're like, I am drinking quite literally from a motherfucking fire hose. What the actual fuck? I felt insane. And at the time, again, like I had so much other shit going on. So I was a little bit hesitant to do it, but a big group of my friends, we're all going to do it together. And I was like, okay, fuck it. You guys peer pressured me. Like, let's go. Is this the right time to say yes? I guess we'll fuck around and find out. So I said yes to it. I invested into it, and I'm glad that I did, because it was really, really good. But it definitely, again, challenged me. It stretched me. It, stretched my capacity of like, can I actually show up for all of this and do this and focus on this at the same time that I'm building sold out stories, that I'm launching something, that we're preparing for the top tier immersion that's coming later this year, planning events, my wedding, all these other things. And I was, and lots of travel. And I was just like, okay, I guess we'll see what happens. I'm going to bet on myself, as I always do, and just see what happens. So I started off pretty behind because of the fact that I was in Peru and like had no service and could not be attending 6 to 8 calls while I'm on a bucket list trip with my fiance. But I got caught up and I played full out. It was really intense, but I do really value upskilling like this because it's not just for me. Yes, it's for me, but it's also so that I can better support my clients. So it's really fun to like get inside other people's brains who are experts at what they do. They have millions and millions of followers. They are a creator by trade, and to be able to see how they study content, what they look at, the formats, all the things, and get expert advice. It's cool for me and it's also cool for my clients because now I know more. The fifth thing that I did was I bought the custom Porsche, as you guys know, and this really activated that it girl energy. So for me, this one, in terms of like making moves that are going to create momentum in your business, it's not like go buy a luxury car. Like that's not it. It's not about the car, right? It's about the identity that you step into when you realize what you are truly capable of. So again, stretching my capacity, my responsibility, my willingness to let money flow out, trusting that it will flow back to me 10x. Because the truth is, like, I didn't need the car. We already have another car, but I desired it. And it was this exercise of moving from overflow rather than from scarcity, because it really tested me in some ways and required me to kind of kill off those parts of myself that wanted to keep me small, like the parts of myself that would say things like, okay, yes, but like not yet, or be responsible, Sam. Do you actually need this? Is this a smart move? All of those things, all of those parts of me had to die. And I had to really step into that overflow abundant version of myself that was like, no, I deserve this. I can have this. I can afford this. The money can flow out. I trust that it will flow back in. And of course, like, it wasn't just an irresponsible move to like spend money in hopes that it will help you make money. Like, there was tax strategy behind it in terms of it being a company vehicle and lots of things like that. So there were conveniences about it. And also, like I said, we already had a car, but like we only have one. And sometimes it is inconvenient sharing a car with your partner, and me not being able to have all of the mobility that I always want to be able to have, because if Jaime has the car and he's taking it to showings or he's at the office or whatever he's doing, then I'm kind of stuck having to Uber. So we didn't need it, but I definitely desired it, and I could have gotten any car, but I was like, this is an identity moment, right? To get the Porsche, like to custom build it, to have it shipped from Germany to me. It has 0 miles on it. Like, the custom interior that I picked, and it was very, very fun and very, very expansive, but it required me to shift my mindset in certain ways so that I could step over that threshold. And that was something that definitely created momentum within myself, because it built a new identity about who I was capable of being, the responsibility and the capacity that I was able to hold. And just like when you're driving in your luxury car that your business built and paid for, you're like, damn, I really fucking did that. It's a constant, everyday reminder that your grit and intentionality and motivation and care and integrity and how much you pour into your clients is actually physically manifested into something that you get to sit in and drive around, and it's never lost on you. Like, it's been months with the new car, and every time I get into it, I feel so lucky. I feel so grateful. I feel inspired by myself, and it only makes me want to work harder and do more. So it definitely helped create major momentum in the business this year. The sixth move that I made was that I renewed for the 5 millionth time with my long-term one-on-one mentor. This is not surprising because like I said, I've worked with her for 4 or 5, gosh, I don't know, maybe it's 6 years at this point. I've lost count. But again, this is something that I didn't need. I just desired it. And I think it feels really good to be poured into, to be nourished and consistently supported by someone who knows my heart, who knows my work, who knows all of my offers, who knows my strengths, who knows my hangups, who knows the things that I struggle with, who knows my journey. Like, to me, having a one-on-one mentor is a lot like having a therapist. Not that my business mentor functions as my therapist, but it's like, if I'm going to a therapist, I don't want to change every 3 months, every 6 months, every 12 months. Like, I want to find the person who feels like my person, and I want to do life with them. I want to do business with them. I want to move in a consistent forward motion with someone who has all the backstory and the context and everything, and can just be there consistently to, again, pour into me, especially if you're someone who is a business owner and you're constantly pouring into others and putting yourself out there and helping people and giving advice, and you've got your clients in Telegram and on calls, and you're posting content and providing value in email and podcasts and all these things. There's so much outgoing energy of you trying to help people, help the world, motivate others, uplift people. It's so nice to have someone in your corner that creates the one space where you get nourished, where you get poured into, where you get consistently supported. And it doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel intense or chaotic. It feels comfortable because they know you. And I think it's really valuable to build a relationship like that with a mentor that you have in your life. I value it with my mentor, and I value it with my clients who have that in me. Like, I love my long-term clients. Some of my longest-term clients, they're invited to my wedding. Like, I really love this idea of creating relationships and not just having a business that's transactional and it's like, oh, buy this from me and whatever and blah, blah, blah. Like, really being able to build relationships with people because you've worked with them for years and years and years, and you know each other's hearts and personalities. Like, I love that. I'm not against, creating friendships within my business ecosystem with clients, mentors, etc. I think it's one of the most beautiful parts of being able to have a job where you get to do whatever you want, quote unquote. So if I can do whatever I want to have relationships with people. I don't want business to be transactional. Number 7 is that I created new laser specific offers that really solve high value problems for my clients. So one of these is sold out stories. I'm also building out $1 million messaging as we speak, which is something that I've taught for a long time inside of Top Tier Mastermind, but I'm expanding on it. I'm adding to it. It's new, it's fresh. And so, yeah, I built the low ticket offer, sold out stories, that solved a very clear problem for my audience that they had high motivation to solve. Like, that is part of the formula for creating an awesome, especially low ticket offer. And it's something that got them instant results, like I talked about. So it really, really worked, not only in, the sense that it made sales and people bought it, but it also worked in the sense that it worked for them and they got results. And it also worked in a third sense in the fact that it made them want to work with me further and go into other areas like buying other programs or getting into my masterminds and things like that. The response to that offer in general was just like really insane and created so much momentum in the business. Hundreds of sales poured in. We had upsells, cross sells, mastermind applications, deposits being paid for people working with me, 6 months from now. Just like it really did truly do a lot for the business. Number 8, as I said I would get to, of course, we went on the mini podcast tour in Austin, Texas. And this truly was like for no other reason than just the vibes. Like, sometimes I think it's worth investing in things that make you feel more legit. Even if that's like the only reason that you're doing it, is like, that would be fun. We would get great content. It would feel really legit. We would get to meet amazing people or have cool conversations. Like, that kind of stuff, sometimes people don't see the ROI on it, but truly it will shift your frequency and it can change a lot for you. And it just does, different things in terms of like the visibility. I think sometimes people also think about this when it comes to like retreats or stuff like that. It's like, oh, that would be a fun experience, but they view it as this like luxury kind of like extra, like cherry on top, like, oh, if I have the money, because you don't think of it as like, oh, this is a very specific skill that's going to immediately give me an ROI in my business. But other people who really understand, the power of like energetics and things like that, they look at those as opportunities to shift their identity, to shift their entire frequency, to change like the way that they're moving through the world, their aura, what they're able to attract, how they see themselves, because identity is everything. What you believe about yourself has the power to literally change every fucking aspect of your life. Point blank, period, stop. That is fact. And so if you can do something that helps change your belief about who you are, like buying the Porsche or moving to a new city or traveling to the place or going on the retreat or doing a fucking podcast tour in Austin because you fucking feel like it, like doing those things actually do create invisible ROIs in your life and in your business. Because why? Because they change your frequency, because they change your energy, they make you feel more legitimate, they shift something inside of you. And that is the basis for all change. It ripples out into everything that you do. When you start feeling differently about who you are, what you're capable of, your capacity, and you see yourself in a different way, the world starts to see you in a different way. Different opportunities present. You go after things that you may not have. You take bolder action. You take bigger risks. Like, I mean, that's kind of everything. And so sometimes the experiences that other people view as like extra cherry on top might be nice. People who really understand energetics, like, no, that's actually the base. That's what I'm actually the most focused on. Because if I can change who I see myself as, everything changes. And so while other people are waiting to be invited or waiting to see the right offer pop up, like, you're going to be the one that's busy building the damn table yourself. And then you'll find eventually people are begging for a seat. And that's just facts. And the ninth and final thing that I did behind the scenes this year to create extra momentum in my business was that I said yes to the trips. Because as we're talking about shifting your identity, like, travel is another one of those things that does that. Travel really just calibrates you to this energy of expansion and abundance. I don't care what you say. You might be a person who like doesn't like to travel that much, and that's totally okay too. But I really do think going to new places and saying yes to these experiences and living for the sake of living. And as I always say, you don't need to sell harder. You need to live bigger. Why is that? Is because when you start living bigger, you feel expansive, you feel abundant, you feel capable, you have this fuck yes energy. And when you're in that frequency, oh my gosh, you become unstoppable. New things start to show up for you. You move in a different way. And so the lineup for this year has been kind of crazy. 2023 was another one of those years for me where I was like, whoa, I'm traveling a lot. I think I had 13 trips that year. So I was traveling basically every month, a little bit more than that. And the lineup for 2025 so far is we had Vegas, Costa Rica, then Peru, then Austin, Chicago, Colombia. We're going to Spain once, maybe twice, Bahamas, Aruba, and that's so far. I don't know. No one invite me anywhere else. I'm like, fuck. We just got an inquiry the other day from someone who wanted to podcast in person, and they're like, we'll be in New York, LA, wherever. I'm like, are you by chance going to come to Miami? Because motherfucker, I might have to say yes to yet another trip. And so, yeah, it is. Sometimes it's a lot. It's a lot. The logistics, the planning, shifting your schedules, getting dog sitters. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. But I maintain, don't sell harder, live bigger. It really calibrates you to that energy of expansion and abundance. And that's why I do it. And also, like, I love it. It's fun, right? So, and nothing makes you appreciate home and your routines and just like the simple lifestyle of like going to the gym and working fucking hard on your business. Nothing makes you want to do that more than getting out for a weekend or 5 days or whatever and going somewhere else. By the end of that, you're like, oh my God, I just want to go to the gym, get a matcha, and work like a beast on my business. And so if you need some extra motivation to just live in the mundaneness of your simple routines that also like make you happy and move the needle in your business, I think traveling does that as well. So yeah, events, retreats, conferences. Oh, I went to a conference somewhere in Florida also this year that I forgot about that. Family trips, even just because travel, like with Jaime and I, it's always going to be a yes for me because of the way that it ripples out into my energy, my brand, and the magnetism of that is truly undeniable. So all of that in just 6 months of 2025, I actually cannot believe that all of that happened in just the first half of the year. But it's just proof to me, again, that like 6 months is really all it takes to see unreasonable growth when every move that you make is momentum coded. And I think we're in this stage where everyone wants to stay relevant. Everyone wants to be known. But most people actually aren't willing to do what it truly takes to get there. And so I want to remind you guys, if you're ready to hit the gas in the second half of 2025, if you are an established business owner, if you're looking for a space to expand you, Top Tier Mastermind is open. We're kicking off our summer launch. We have limited space left because Top Tier is a small group, like intimate space. So we have limited spaces left for the rest of 2025 and moving into 2026. But this season right now in the summertime is going to be the last chance where if you join Top Tier, you will qualify for our 3-day immersion event happening in Miami later this year. And the reason for that is we want people to be in the mastermind for X amount of time before the immersion comes so that they can be really immersed in the group and actually start learning and implementing and know the other women before we go on this incredible 3-day trip here in Miami. We're going to be staying at this amazing waterfront mansion. Hopefully, we'll be getting on a yacht at some point. I mean, we're going to be having fun dinners. We're going to be doing somatic work, masterminding in person. It is so much fun. It's going to be such a vibe. And it's going to be different this year than it's been in the past for any of the Top Tier alumni who were in it before and who are now also in Top Tier for their alumni years. Like, we want to give them a little bit of a different experience. So if you're interested in the mastermind, if you want to work with me really closely in my most intimate, high level inner circle space, that is Top Tier. Doors are open right now. We have a few spots left. And if you want to come to the immersion later this year, now is the time to jump into the mastermind with us. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast. I love you all. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, copy the link, send it to a friend who you know would resonate, who's like an entrepreneur bestie, or take a screenshot, post it to your Instagram stories. I love seeing you guys reshare the podcast. It helps us so much. And don't forget to leave a rating or review if you haven't. Every month, we are giving away cash to our listener of the month. So we basically just go through your submissions if you left a review for the podcast, and you can repeat. You can, leave reviews whenever you want and resubmit. We're picking winners every single month to win cash just for reviewing the show. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.